This is your year to ring in the deals and ring in the keys to your brand new ride during our Ring in the Savings event at Capital Ford. Like a new 2025 Ford F-250 Super Duty with 0% APR for 60 months. Or a new 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. Just $495 a month lease for 36 months with no money down. This is your year, so drive into 2026 the right way during our Ring in the Savings event at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Good evening and welcome to the Pit Press Live, another episode of our first episode of the season of Road to the Pit. I'm your host for tonight, Ed Nunez. Behind the scenes is Eric Moulton. He's our producer. Joining me, as he always does, is my son, ProView play-by-play producer, also Pit Press beat writer, writes recaps of the Lobos and previews of the Lobos, works very hard on that. I don't know how he does all the things that he does. My son, Nick Nunez. Son, welcome to the show.
What's up, Dad? Good evening. Really excited to speak with our very special guest tonight, Abby Pavia of Albuquerque High girls basketball. It's an exciting time of the year, Dad. You know, it's high school basketball is winding down. It's the final week of the season, and couldn't be more excited to have on our very special guest tonight.
Well, without any more further ado, you know, we managed to snag Abby Pavia coming off a career high 39 points in Albuquerque High's 45-42 win over Los Lunas on Saturday. Abby's having a terrific freshman year, averaging 20.2 points, 8.7 rebounds per game, and 4.4 assists per game. Her Bulldogs have clinched the District 5A regular season district title with a 23 record. Abby, welcome to the show. Thanks for being on Road to the Pit.
Thank you guys for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, Abby, I saw the shot on Saturday night when I was here. And it seems like I'm covering Western New Mexico. You know, so many games we're watching. Same thing with my son. You know, we watch a million games a week, it seems like. And that shot was money. We'll get into that in a minute. I mean, when you score, there it is. I knew there's you can watch that while we talk, Abby. Some of the shots that you made on Saturday. My son's able to always find things. There's look at that, and scoring in traffic. But Abby, you know, you scored all 14 of your team's first half points, scored 39 of your 45 points as a team. Tell us what got you going early. How were you able to finish with the career night that you had?
You know, I think at first the team was a little, me and the team were a little, I would say a little nervous, just because, you know, we're playing at Los Lunas. Los Lunas has an amazing, you know, crowd, student section. So I think everyone was just on their tippy toes a little bit. But once we got to settle in, you know, we started playing.
Yeah, you know, you're right about that. I used to officiate, and we're waiting for that last shot here, man. It's coming up. But I used to officiate in Los Lunas. There it is. There's that final shot for the game winner. And son, great job in finding that footage. You're right. Los Lunas has and it's a district rival, right? Coach Manny V. Hill has done a good job at Los Lunas in rebuilding that program. Was there a certain way they were defending you? I mean, my son will get into it later about how good you are in shooting from certain spots. But was there a certain way you've got 39 of the 45? So Coach V. Hill has to be like, you know what, we got to stop her, right? I mean, and all due respect to your other teammates, but when you're feeling it like that, they're going to get you the ball. Coach Morrison's going to say, get Abby the ball. Was there any certain way they were defending you?
You know, I think at first we felt like in the scout, we felt like they were going to go 2-3 again, how they did zone. So, you know, we just prepped for that. And then, you know, after that first half, they started to face guard me, which, you know, got my teammates open. Layla Bolden hit two big shots in that game. And, Sarah Garcia screened really well. Layla Gonzalez, Aaliyah Lee, Jess, they all did a lot of dirty work. So, this is a team sport. So praise to them.
You know what? People forget about setting screens, man. It's important. It is. And you know that you just gave some love for that. They won't forget that because people don't see that when they just see the shot. They're like, hey, wow, what an amazing shot. How did you get there? How'd you get it? Teammates giving themselves up, setting those big screens and fundamental screens without moving. Those things are important. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Funny when players are rolling like that, and you were rolling 39 points. Coach Morrison in the huddle. What does she say? Because my thing is, I'm sure she said that. Tell us about the game. I'm sure that Coach Morrison said, get you the ball. But tell us about the game-winning shot. What did you see on the final possession?
So after Finley made that 2-pointer, I was like, shoot, we gotta go down and get a bucket. So I came down. I tried to come off a screen off of Sarah to go to the middle, but they kind of double teamed me there. So I kind of backed out. And then I looked at the score and I saw that there was 3 seconds left. And I was like, all right, we gotta get a good look off. So I just kind of stepped back and shot it, and the rest is history.
Let me ask you this though: when you shot it, what did you think? Because a shooter, when you follow through and you've been hot all night, when it left your hand, what did you think?
I thought it was good. I knew it was right on line. I either thought it was going to be, right in the middle, or a little over, or a little short.
Yeah, nothing but strings, string music. Son.
Yeah, we're speaking with Albuquerque High freshman Abby Pavia, coming off 39 points last night in Albuquerque High's win over Los Lunas. Abby, wanted to talk to you about how you started playing basketball. You kind of came onto the scene last year as an 8th grader. You averaged 13.6 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists, and about 3 steals. But your journey in playing basketball had to have started at a young age. Tell us how you got started playing basketball.
So I know a lot of y'all know I have 3 older brothers, and they were in literally every sport like you could think of. They were in wrestling, football, baseball, basketball. So yeah, they were in a lot of sports. And I remember I was at a tournament when I was like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And one of the dads on the team was like, do you want to start playing basketball with my son? And I was like, sure, let's play. And then that dad is, he's been with me all my journey, and he still is. His name is How Win. He's the director of Fenton Fundamentals, and shout out to them because they start with the fundamentals and they help you build. So yeah.
Okay, so that's where it got started, 5'6", and you're still with Fenton Fundamentals. I know Jamal Fenton Fundamentals, man. You go check him out. He does such a good job training players. I think Sydney Benally was with him through her come up, and so many other good players such as yourself. But from that point, Abby, I want to talk to you about who some of your mentors are. Obviously, everybody knows who your brother is, and it would make sense that he would be one of your big mentors. But talk to us a little bit about some of the people that have mentored you through your career at this point.
Coach Fenton, he's awesome. Coach Howe, he's like another dad to me. So he's like always been, with me forever and ever, and he cares for me like I'm his daughter. So he's a huge mentor in my life. I would also say my other brother, his name's Javier. He gets on my nerves a lot, but I can't lie. He gets on my nerves a lot, but he's probably the biggest mentor out of them all. He's just always pushing me to be the best, even when I get on his nerves, he gets on my nerves. I know it's all love. So he's probably the biggest mentor.
Okay, right on. Abby, obviously you're having tremendous success your freshman season individually and as a team. I mean, you guys are killing it right now, 20-3, top 5 team in girls 5A. But I want to talk about you a little bit. You're obviously playing at such a high level, and you have pretty much for a lot of your career. I know a lot of people know you started in middle school and on the club scene a little bit, so you've been around for a while. But when did you feel like you started to separate yourself from your peers? Like, when did you start getting really good at basketball?
I feel like at a young age, I played with boys, so I feel like
Right.
that's what made me kind of separate myself. I feel like I play really aggressive, and I hate losing, and I know
Yeah.
like my brothers, they also hate losing, so I feel like I get that from them too. But the biggest separation was probably this past summer. Like I feel like I put in a lot of work, and I feel like it hasn't finally shown. But now, after this past summer, it's been showing a lot.
Yep, for sure. Dad.
It's funny that you mentioned hating to lose, Abby. I grew up playing, so did my son, and some people hate losing more than they like winning. So I can understand. And you've got brothers, and they're probably poking at you, and you want to compete with them. So that definitely helps your swag and your attitude, no doubt about it. They you mentioned Javier getting on your nerves, but it's all love, man, like you said. And when you succeed, you probably laugh about it, but you want more. He's going to give it to you, right? Going to give it to you, make you better. This year, 23 on the season, very impressive. Only losses to Rio Rancho, Hobbs, and Farmington, all good teams. So obviously, you lost Savannah Combs a couple weeks ago to a torn ACL, but Albuquerque High is on a 10-game winning streak. What has been the key to your guys, to your team's success so far?
I think just to stack one game every day. Just stack every day, one at a time. Not worrying about the future. Because who knows where we'll be in the future. So we're just working day by day, and I think that's the mentality that we should have. And just to continue pushing each other.
Even through Savannah, I saw her play at the Metro. Big man, right? Can finish, turning, nice drop step, rebounds, block shots. It's a big loss. You got to keep going. But you're a ninth grader, and you played last year as an eighth grader. And some people would look at freshmen back in the day like they're lucky to be on the team, but you've proven yourself here. Talk about how you've taken, and you've got brothers that are leaders, man. You do. You've got what it is to be a leader. You're one of the youngest players on the team. But talk about how you've taken on a leadership role with the Bulldogs.
I think that's the when I was a seventh grader watching Albuquerque High, I think that's where they were kind of lacking a little bit. So I just felt like I could come in and step up and help everyone to their best ability. And I feel like all of us are maturing a lot, and all of us are being amazing leaders right now in this season.
Well said. You know what? That's well said. And your teammates are listening. Believe me, they are. And they're all like bending their, what you going to say, man? And it's true, right? I've been on a million teams, been around a million teams. They're like, and great pictures that you sent, Coach Morrison sent as well. What's been, Abby, it's funny. The season is, you guys are in a good position. You're going to be playing some more basketball here, but the season has gone so quick. I think my son and I talk about it all the time. But what's been your favorite part of the season so far?
Winning. I would say this team. I know this team hates to lose. We hate losing more than we love winning. And I feel like also the team. This team is a very incredible team. We are some unique people, and I feel like all of us just coming together is an amazing part of this journey.
That's part of it, right? Even through the losses, sometimes I think we never want to lose, but sometimes we learn from that too. We do. We're not going to win every game. No team's going to go 82-0. It doesn't even happen in the pros. Yeah. And so sometimes we lose those tough ones. You lost a tough one at the Metro, and I was watching you. I always watch, but so does my son. We both coached, and like I said, been around the game a long time. Watch body language. How do people respond and react? Leila Bolin is. You guys complement each other so well. Two very good defensive players on the court. What's it been like playing with her?
Layla's awesome. I feel like we both feed off of each other. So, and like when one of us is down, the other one is automatically, hey, you gotta help him up. So I feel like me and Layla, we have a good connection, and we're just trying to continue it and win a state championship this year.
Coach Morrison, I think it's her third year there at Albuquerque High. I believe it's her third year. Came from Santa Fe Indian, coached at Texas, has hundreds of wins in Texas. I interviewed her last year on the sports desk. What's it like playing for Coach Morrison?
Coach Morrison is awesome. I love her. She's a constructive criticizing coach, and I feel like that's the best coach to have. When she needs to be hard on us, she's hard as freak. She's really, really hard on us. And when we all need to focus in and just lock in and come together and play the best we can, she gets hard on us. So she's an amazing coach to play for, and I wouldn't want any other one.
It's and plus you got to go to I say, and my son knows this. The road to any championship is pockmarked with challenges that you don't know. Season starts, everything's good, and then you've had some injuries, man. Savannah's a big loss, and you have to overcome that. And Coach Morrison has to figure out new strategies, things like that. I think those words that you said about her, they ring true because she's had to do a lot. You guys won district. Your team won district, but got upset in the first round last season. What did you learn about that? Again, what did we learn about? What did you learn about that? About your team, about yourself?
I feel like as a team, we kind of, we kind of let up a little bit, and we got a little complacent, and we thought it was just Carlsbad. They shouldn't. They're the 12 seed, I think it was. We should never lose to them. So I think, I feel like everyone was a little nervous as well, but we just should never be having losses like that. So I feel like we learned a lot from it. And, this year that's not going to happen again.
Son.
Yeah, Abby, wanted to switch gears and talk to you a little bit about club basketball for you. If I'm not mistaken, you play with Fenton Fundamentals in club. You may be playing on another club team, but just tell us kind of what club basketball has been like for you the last couple of years.
So right now, I'm going to play on Mountain West Premier EYBL 17U.
Okay.
But club basketball I feel like it's awesome. I feel like, we just get to show all the college coaches our talent and, hoping that we get a chance and people take a chance on us. So club basketball and like the people you meet, I feel like that's a very important part in club. I met a lot of amazing people this past year, and I am excited to meet some new people this year. So people you meet is an important part of club.
Yeah, tell us how your game is different, Abby. Obviously, the competition ramps up a little bit on the EYBL circuit. I'm sure some of the best players in the country at your age level. Kind of tell us, is your game different? Are you, handling the ball a lot of the time, making plays, knocking down shots? Are you playing more off the ball? Like, how is it different?
I feel like it's way more aggressive. There's girls that are 6'7", 6'6", and
6'7", yeah.
I did not mean to do that.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
But there's girls that are like tall that you don't see here in New Mexico. So it's just way more physical, way more competitive. It's a lot faster as well. So, I feel like in club, everyone is good. Literally everyone's good. So you have to, show up every single day and play your hardest. So I feel like that's the big difference.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk to you a little bit about your hobbies outside of basketball. People see, Abby Pavia, the basketball player. They know Diego's your brother, but let's find out a little bit more about you. What's your favorite subject in school?
Math. I love math.
All right, math. Wow. What's ninth grade math at Albuquerque High? Is that pre-algebra?
It's Algebra 1, but I took Algebra 1 as an 8th grader, so I'm taking geometry right now.
Wow. Hey, that's impressive, man. What favorite food? What's your favorite food?
I would probably say chicken Alfredo.
Chicken Alfredo. Good choice. Favorite music playlist before the game?
My favorite artist is probably Drake.
Okay.
But I have a pregame vibe playlist for our team.
Yep.
So that's probably my favorite playlist.
Okay. Right on. And then a last one for me, then I'll turn it back to you, Dad. Favorite athlete? I'm sure your brother's got to be in that category. Not trying to sell anything on that short, but favorite athlete, if you had to name one.
Favorite athlete other than Diego? I feel
Yep.
like Diego's probably my favorite athlete, but other than him, I would say that's a hard one. I'll probably say Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's a great choice. Dad, go ahead.
We'll get to some. Do you tell him you put up bigger numbers as a freshman than he did?
I did. I told him I got something that he never did, and that was an offer from University of New Mexico. So.
Oh man. Oh, the unkindest cut of all. Wow. What does he say to that?
He was just hating on me a little bit, but
he laughed about it, right? Hey, that he laughs about it, right? You did get a laugh out of it. Okay. Yeah, because there's history there. We won't go into that. We know all about it. I told you yesterday he killed the Lobos, man. He killed me. I seen him run up the middle and kill the Lobos the way he did. And he's a fantastic athlete, no doubt about it. I got to ask you this. Albuquerque has had some really good high school basketball players to come through here the last 10 years. Amaya Brown went to Florida State. Bella Hines, phenomenal career at El Dorado. LSU now. She was the defensive player of the game against South Carolina, I believe, yesterday. She's already contributing. And that's a deep team that they have there, a very deep team. Sydney Benally, two-time Gatorade Player of the Year. Have you kept your eye on Amaya's done, but have you kept your eye on Bella at all, or Sydney Benally playing at BYU? Have you followed them, or do you look up to them a little bit? I mean, Bella had a career. So did Sydney. Sydney was a heck of a player, man. And sometimes people might have said in Bella's shadow a little bit. Sydney definitely had the better overall team at Sandia. Bella had, had some amazing games here. Do you follow them at all? Do you look up to them, or did you look up to them a couple years ago?
Yeah, I follow them. I love watching LSU play. I feel like they're an amazing team. They're a very scrappy team, so they're awesome. But I played with Sydney, so I feel like she's a role model for me as well. Sydney, she's a cool person, a really cool person, and she's very genuine, and I feel like I respect that a lot. Me and her always make a lot of jokes with each other. So I've been following her as well, and she's having an amazing career this year. So. Do
she give you some advice? Do you ask her for advice, or does she tell you what she thinks about what she sees of your game?
She's kind of been a little bit Hollywood on me lately. No, I'm joking. No, I talked to her a little bit, and I feel like the best advice she's been giving me is just keep your composure. You can't let anyone get into you, and we laugh about it. We laugh about how I acted a little bit last year, and I feel like I've grown a lot. So
you know what? I think that you're in ninth grade, man. Your coach reminded me of that. You're still a teenager, and dealing with a lot of success, right? And dealing, my son will ask you some questions here in a minute, but I mean, your brother was the runner-up to the Heisman Trophy winner, man. And really could have won it. I mean, he had a phenomenal season with Vanderbilt, and won a national championship at New Mexico Military. So when your name is announced, everybody knows, right? Everybody knows. So there's a lot to live up to. There sure is, and a long way to go. And I think that's the exciting thing. It has to be. We're excited for you, son. Finish us up.
Yeah, kind of just dovetailing off that, Abby, what's it like being Diego's sister? Obviously, you guys are close. You look up to him. He's, your favorite athlete. But just what's it like being his sister?
I feel like Diego, he's an awesome. And it's like being his sister is like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like a dream. It doesn't feel like, he was the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. So it really just doesn't feel real, but I'm super proud of him and all of his accomplishments, and Diego, I'm gonna be better than you.
Hey, dang, she said it. Talk about how you guys both kind of have that underdog mentality. You know, I remember your brother when he went undefeated at Volcano Vista, as a quarterback. And he was a Pius guy for a couple years. I'm a Pius guy. So, that's where I first kind of heard of him. But, talk about obviously the underdog story that he had from junior college to New Mexico State all the way to where he made it. And I feel like, you kind of have some elements of an underdog story yourself. Just talk about how you guys both kind of take on that underdog role.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people doubt us for our size. We're a little bit smaller than your normal quarterback or your normal point guard. So I feel like that just, motivates us when people doubt. I feel like when people doubt us, that's what motivates us. And that's what fuels us to be the best we can. That's what, if I don't want to go to workout, he's like, hey, they're doubting you. You got to, go work out. So
damn.
I feel like, just our size kind of, everyone doubts us about our size. And, for the Bulldogs, no one would ever think, the Bulldogs is a top 5 team. So I feel like, that just motivates me as well and fuels me to be the best that I can be and, win a state championship this year, which the Bulldogs have never won in their school history.
For sure. You guys are on your way, man. 10-game winning streak. You're peaking right now, playing your best basketball. Just got to carry it through. There's 3 more weeks left, so finish you strong. Dad, I'll throw it to you.
I think the things you said about your brother, there's you mentioned it's the size thing, right? And you guys there's your brother, great picture of your brother. It may be a size thing, but what's the size of the heart, right? And I think no doubt about it, there's going to be a little bit of a chip and something, right? I don't think there's any doubt about it. I've watched you. Like I said, I've watched a million ball players, man. It seems like, right? And and I was in no doubt about it. You got a little swag, a little bit, and it's okay, right? I think it is, as long as it doesn't, interfere with what your team is doing. I'm sure Coach Morrison tells you that all the time. Coach Morrison had a quote. I asked her, and she said, "Abby Pavia is built different, national level talent, relentless competitor, and a leader who raises the standard for everyone around her." And as a freshman, that's pretty awesome. I think it really is. I've been reading this book about all these NBA players of the past, and they're saying that a couple of players didn't inspire their teammates, even though they were great. So I think watching you, and then you're giving the flowers to your teammates. That's leadership to me. It's not me, it's us, right? How are we going to do it? What are we going to do? So that's important. The individual success means something too, right? Your family's you mentioned your brother Javier is going to be poking and he's going to poke more because he knows it brings something out of you, right? He may get on your nerves, man, but you're looking for him, right? When you prove something, right? And then show me something else. What else you got? Same thing with your brother. Your brother's raised standards and you're saying you're going to be better than him. Hey, that's great. Who knows what's going to happen? But that's a standard that he set, making his family compete. We're not too short. We're not too whatever. We can do this. And I think that's important. I think what you're doing with your teammates as a freshman is important. And Albuquerque has got some important games here coming up. And, man, the state tournament, there's nothing like it. In the pit, man, my son and I have been there years and years and years, enjoying it. And, different levels of it. So, you want to definitely get to the pit for sure. We sure enjoyed having you on. Son, you got anything else for Abby before we take a commercial break?
No, that's it. Abby, just really appreciate you joining us tonight. Really proud of the success that you've had. Honored to have the opportunity to talk to you tonight and wish you luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Abby, it was a pleasure, and like my son said, you've got a lot of confidence for a ninth grader. But look, we're going to be watching, keeping our eye on you, and we wish you the rest of the luck the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
You bet. We'll take a short break. Nick Nunez and I will be back to talk more about some more high school basketball after these messages on the Pit Press Live.
This is your year to ring in the deals and ring in the keys to your brand new ride during our Ring in the Savings event at Capital Ford. Like a new 2025 Ford F-250 Super Duty with 0% APR for 60 months. Or a new 2025 Ford Bronco Sport. Just $495 a month lease for 36 months with no money down. This is your year, so drive into 2026 the right way during our Ring in the Savings event at Capital Ford in Santa Fe.
Welcome back to the Pit Press Live. And but if you haven't, subscribe to the channel, follow us on X, YouTube, follow our Twitter page, and check out our Pit Press Live, our Pit Press Facebook page for recaps, previews of upcoming opponents. I think we do a good job of covering high school sports and Lobo sports as anyone. I'll say that. And, son, I got to say this with the intro, with the graphics. Eric Moulton's amazing, man. And we take some of that for granted because we've seen it since we started the Pit Press. His graphics, his music, his constant changing of things makes the production makes what we do so good, I think. So got to give a big shout out to Eric. I don't know that we give him enough praise for that. I think, I've taken it for granted, but I was just watching. I was like, Eric has changed things so many times and made it so much better for us on our podcast and our live shows.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, just the show tonight, shout out Eric Moulton, owner of the Pit Press and producer tonight, just putting up all the videos, all the photos, following the conversation. Couldn't thank him enough. But, Dad, what a fantastic interview we had with Abby tonight. She's so poised and she just kind of has that alpha mentality at such a young age, very confident, but humble. When we were asking her about what it was like to shoot the final shot and have the career night that she did, she immediately started mentioning her teammates and the screens they were setting and the dirty work they were doing in that game, and just has the right mentality at such a young age. The future is very bright for Abby Pavia.
I agree. We got to remember she's only 15 years old. I'm thinking about what I was doing when I was 15. I was playing the 1 year that I did at St. Pius on the freshman team over there, and then I would transfer to Highland. But no way was I ready to do any interview like that. But Nick, I got to say this too. When you have three brothers like that, they're constantly poking. Hey, man, come on, right? Let's go. That's not good enough. Come on, let's go. And so she wants to keep up with them. She said she started playing at 4. Someone asked her to start playing at 4 years old, and she was ready to go. She was ready to go. She's got that heart, that swag. She does have that, but like you said, she's also humble. I loved it that she gave credit to other players and the team and Coach Morrison. She knows there's more to it than just her, and they don't go anywhere without her production. Yeah, that's 39 of 45. I don't know when the last time. That's Bella Hines stuff right there. Bella did that several times with and they've got good teammates at Albuquerque High. There's no doubt about it. But when you see a player in a zone like that, you just like, hey, what's the game plan? What's the plan in the huddle? Coach Morrison probably just says, get the ball to Abby, right? Get the ball to Abby. There's no big, brush screens or double horns at the top, nothing like that. Get the ball to Abby. Son, the season's concluding here in a couple of weeks, and we'll be back at it with the state tournament, district tournaments next week. What have you seen so far in Class 5A? Coach Rodriguez and I had Farmington and Volcano Vista. Rio Rancho and Cleveland are playing very well. Las Cruces in 5A has been playing pretty well too. What have you seen?
Yeah, I don't know if we've had a updated NMOT coaches poll this week. The last one from February 10th had Rio Rancho at 1, Cleveland at 2, Volcano Vista at 3. A lot has changed since then. Volcano Vista defeats Rio Rancho at home on a buzzer beater, Finn Fetak 3 on the inbounds pass. And so, right now, I think I'm not sure exactly where those teams are in terms of district. They're going to be top 3 seeds in the state tournament. Cleveland, won the APS Metro tournament, has lost to Volcano in district, has dropped a couple games in district. They were 18-4 coming in to last week. But I do expect those teams to be a top seed. I think Centennial and Las Cruces are fighting it out in the district down south. I want to say Centennial got a win here recently in that district. And so, La Cueva and Sandia were also tied for the district lead in District 2, 2 other metro area teams. La Cueva won the game at Sandia, and then Sandia defeated La Cueva at La Cueva. So, we've talked to some coaches, Dad, in 5A and in 4A, and it's kind of wide open, right? I mean, Volcano Vista, the juggernaut in the 4 Pete State Championship, graduating that senior class of 6. They're not the juggernaut that they are, but they can still win games. They do have a superstar in David Lund who could score 30 a night or more if he wanted to. And then obviously, Greg Brown, I believe a 6-time state champion, one of the best coaches in Albuquerque high school basketball history, probably. So he gives them an edge. I know I'll leave it to you, Dad. What do you think about boys 5A?
I think you made a great points, and I think it's a lot. Coach Rodriguez and I talked about that. Farmington gave Volcano Vista everything they could handle last week, and then Centeras Griego got hurt. Volcano Vista, they lost Drayden Montgomery. That's one of their bigger players. But with Awino and Lund and Ryan Gonzalez last year, that was a tough. Awino was one of the best bigs we ever saw come through here. AJ Bramlett, Kenny Thomas, Alan Zahn, Jimmy Mitchum. There's a lot of bigs that came through here in the past, and he was one of the best. He's at Montana State starting, right? Isn't he at Montana?
Montana.
So I think it's more of a level playing field. Rio Rancho's got some dynamite players. I really like their lineup. Decker, they've got some good guards there. Neely, they've got some players. Bynum, Stevens, Sweet. It's Stephen Sweet's son. I can't remember his first name, but they've got a good lineup there. Cleveland with Remy Albrecht and V. Hill, Bryson Bowie. I like them. I like them a lot. So I think with the 5A, class, you're going to see Las Cruces with Will Benjamin. He's got some players that that I think are pretty good too. The Cueva, don't pan out the Cueva. They've got Hunter Butler. They've got Bramlett. They've got Peyton Fuller. Eric Orell is pretty excited about where they're at. So you know what, Nick? I think a district tournament coming up, and then we're going to have the seating, the selection show right around the corner. Let's move to 4A real quick. 4A boys, Highland winners of 12 in a row now. Artesia did lose to Roswell. Del Norte's up there. Hope Christian, Albuquerque Academy. What's your opinion about 4A boys?
Yeah, well, Highland's certainly playing the best, right? Got to see them play against St. Pius at St. Pius, and I mean they just took it to the Sartans early. We're up 19-9 at the end of the first quarter, and then scored the first 7 of the second. And they play downhill really well. They play in transition very well. They're such a good defensive team, and they're either going to steal the ball from you or they're going to secure a defensive rebound and they're going to get out and run. And they just have the guys, man. Nico Sanchez has been playing really well. Dad, you can speak to the roster better than I can, but I just, I like Coach Woody a lot. One of the best coaches in Class 4A, no doubt. And he's got them playing really well. Can't count out Coach Mike Mondragon and the defending state champs, the Artesia Bulldogs. Not only did they lose to Roswell, but they lost to Portales on a half-court buzzer beater. I had just texted Coach Mondragon earlier that day, and he was, he said, hey, we weren't completely healthy against Roswell. No excuses. Roswell shot the ball really well. But he felt like, Kincaid had just started to come back. And then that same day, they lose on a half-court buzzer beater to Portales. But they just avenged that loss this weekend. Artesia defeated Portales, I believe, by 12 at the Bulldog Pit. So they're in there. And then, another team in 4A that I think is really good, we had them, is Del Norte. I haven't seen Hope in a while. I haven't, but I know they've been playing some really good basketball. Right now, in the last week's NMOT coaches poll, Hope Christian was number 3. Del Norte was number 4. We have seen Del Norte a couple times this year, and they have two as good of 2 scorers as anybody in 4A for sure, in Francois Sachivi and Mumin Omer. Those guys can score the basketball at a very high level. Sachivi, I believe, Dad, was averaging around 18 a game when we had him a couple weeks ago against Academy. Can shoot the 3 ball, very strong and athletic, can get into the mid-range, can score at the rim. And then they got a phenomenal coach in Jerron McIntosh. So I think those are the top 4. When I talk to 4A coaches, they tell me, that's kind of the top brass of 4A. And then you got your Tauses and your Academies and Belen. St. Pius has just won 2 games in district back-to-back. They beat Grants and they beat Valencia. They're going to play Highland this week. And then they've got their final game of the season on Saturday. They're playing Sandia Prep. They're playing better. I think those are the top 4 teams for me in 4A, Dad.
Yeah, you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned Taos because Hernan Hernan Chavez does a really good job out there. So yeah, the academy's been a little bit up and down. Um, with they lost some key pieces last year, and they've been up and down. So I think you're mentioning those teams there. Highland being they play Valencia tomorrow. Coach Rodriguez and I have that one. 5A girls, I think Hobbs is still number one. The Cueva, Sandia, you can't count out Sandia. We'll just go quickly over some of the teams there. Volcano, Rio Rancho. Okay, Bruce Carver, a very good friend of mine, is an assistant coach there, and then Lori Mabry. They were on a roll, and I talked to Coach Carver last week. He's an assistant, and he said, "Hey, we got to be careful for Volcano Vista, and Volcano Vista doesn't have the same firepower that they've had in the past. They beat them, man." And I saw Coach Villarreal on over there at Volcano Vista on when Coach Rodriguez and I had Farmington and Rio Rancho. She said that they just Rio Rancho had one of the Martinez sisters out, but Volcano Vista beat them. So I think Hobbs, you know what? I think a lot of people thought that Hobbs lost a lot, but they're still number one in that class. We saw that at the Metro tournament. They took the Metro tournament, and Coach Carpenter does a phenomenal job there. Coach Kettig has won 2 championships in a row. La Cueva, they've got Jordan Dyer. She's about to hit 2,000 points. So they can't be counted out too. What's your opinion, real quick, about 5A girls?
Yeah, one team maybe you didn't hit on as much as Sandia. I had them a couple weeks ago when they beat El Dorado, but very good team. They lost obviously a ton from the 2-time state championship team that they had with Sydney Benally and Audrey Wright and Hope Giddings and Nadia Randall and that squad. Pretty much all those girls graduated, but they've retooled with Kea Benally, Sydney's younger sister. She's really good, Dad. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch her play, different game than Sydney's from what I can see. She's a lot more straight line, wants to beat you off the dribble, get in the paint. She probably had close to a double-double in points and assists. She definitely got in double figures when I had her, but sees the floor really well, always keeps her eyes down court, and just kind of makes them a contender. They lost to Albuquerque High with Abby Pavia, who we just had on earlier. They lost to Albuquerque High by 2 earlier. And I asked Coach Kettig, hey, what happened? What happened in that game? It was close. And he said, the difference was Abby Pavia. There's not a shot she can't make. And, one thing we didn't talk about with Abby, but she's phenomenal in the mid-range. All those clips that Eric was showing earlier, she can get to the spot. She beats the first-level defender. And even if help comes, she can knock down the mid-range. So, I think it's a deep class, 5A girls. I think Sandia could be a sleeper team in there.
You mentioned Sandia, and I got to say this, that, Coach Kettig beat Lisa Villarreal, Volcano Vista, and then he beat Joe Carpenter. And I think that put him kind of at a different level as far as coaches. Lisa has, 5 championships? I think Joe has 3 or 4 at Hobbs. And, so Coach Kettig with 2 championships in a row, I thought that those 2 championships that he won back-to-back put him in a different category of coaching in 5A. A lot of respect for him, man. You mentioned that they had to rebuild. Hope Giddings and Nadia Randall are at Western. Hope's not eligible yet, and Nadia Randall's been playing a lot this year. So they lost a lot, and they're still there, and Coach Kettig has done a phenomenal job. Son, it's been great talking some high school basketball. Eric Moulton mentioned we need to get Roy Sanchez on, who's going to coach the West team in the McDonald's All-Star game in March. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit last week at La Cueva. He'd be a great guest, maybe his sister Yvonne Sanchez as well. We'll definitely have another episode of Road to the Pit coming up soon. You got anything else, Nick?
No, that's it. I agree, Dad. Let's get somebody on these next couple weeks. These are the best times for high school basketball. It's all starting up. Games will be at the Pit March 9th through 14th, also at the Rio Rancho Event Center and at Bernalillo High School. So an exciting time. Only other thing, Dad, obviously Lobo basketball tomorrow night, 7 p.m. in the Pit. They will take on Air Force. As of today, Lobo's 27.5-point favorites.
Wow.
Air Force is just that bad. I hate to say it because, those young men that are in that program do much more for this country than entertaining us with college basketball. That being said, they have not been competitive this year. They're 3-22. Their head coach, Joe Scott, was put on leave for allegations that he may have been mistreating cadets. So that's not a good look. Didn't expect that from him. I don't think a lot of people did. But a game that UNM, is expected to win heavily. Coach Olin had a press conference today, spoke with a large group of, a decent-sized group of local media, and just said, we're going to treat this game the same way we do every other game. A lot of coach speak, but I think he is going to have this team ready to go. It's a good game for them. After the stretch they went through, Dad, having to play Utah State, Boise State, Grand Canyon on the road, they're going to have another tough stretch again when they got to play Nevada, San Diego State, Colorado State, Utah State. I mean, none of those games are going to be easy. They got Fresno and Air Force this week. So, there's no such thing as a tune-up game late in the conference season, but these are games where let's get back to the things we do. Let's have a dominant defensive performance. They didn't dominate defensively against Grand Canyon, Dad. I know you guys were on with Coach Rodriguez last night. Really appreciated the insight that he had. But they didn't dominate defensively against Grand Canyon in the second half. No, they got dominated in lane. They had terrible first dribble defense in the second half. And look, they won the game. I'm not taking anything away from the fact that they won the game. I'm just saying you need to have a dominant defensive performance where you cause disruption, get turnovers, score in transition, and what better opponent to do it than against Air Force tomorrow night. Lobo should wreck them, Dad. What do you think?
Well, you know what? I think you call it a get-right game. If you see the players, they're like, hey, this is I should get to play Milos Vicentic. We hadn't seen him in a while. Maybe he gets off the bench and, they go maybe Tomeo Pons gets in, but they got to take care of business. Coach Olin's not, he wants to make sure things are working in the way it was when they were on a roll. It's 5-game winning streak. They were playing very well on both ends. They got shook up against Utah State. They got shook up against Boise State. You mentioned second half, Grand Canyon straight line drives went right to the basket, went right to the rim and attacked, and UNM held them off. So, tomorrow night they got to take care of business. They should. 27 points. I don't know about that, but I don't see them having a problem tomorrow night with Air Force. But there's bigger challenges that loom ahead, and they're going to have to be ready for them. That'll do it tonight for the Pit Press Live Road to the Pit. For producer Eric Moulton, my color commentator Nick Nunez, we want to again thank freshman guard Abby Pavia from Albuquerque High for being our guest. We'll be back soon with another episode of the Pit Press Live. Good night. Thanks for joining us.